Oh, Kobold?
Do you want to do Kobold
Yeah,
encounter?
let's go with Kobold.
All right. I think that you are. Sorry. Let's intro the video. You intro the video and then break us down. What is a Kobold?
You want to do Kobolds? Because you love Kobolds.
You're better at defining what a creature is and their habits.
Okay.
I think
First,
you explain it better.
okay. First and foremost, a Kobold originates from German lore. They are oftentimes just simply the German stand-in for goblins. They're oftentimes thought of the same thing as goblins. However, in D&D and in the lore, they are actually reptilians, or specifically dragons now in the 2024 rules. Uh, they, of legend, are the dragons asked for loyal servants, so they pricked themselves and their blood dropped to the ground, and from that blood, they had kobolds born. The kobolds, oftentimes in earlier editions, were often described as being more canine like in appearance, like a weird intermix of dog and dragon features. However, as time has gone along, in Dungeons and Dragons, they have become more and more draconic like, where
Draconic Cry.
Draconic Cry, which is an awesome feature in itself. But also in, say, Pathfinder Second Edition, they have this weird characteristics of having like a arrow point head, and which makes them kind of look weird as their head is almost bigger than their torso.
Yeah, I think it's aiming for a dragon-shaped head.
Yeah.
Is the idea.
More dragon or like even like a shark in
Yeah.
appearance. Kobolds are highly communal creatures. You could say that they are socialist or communist, depending on how you want to define those strictly. Weirdly enough, in that sense, each individual will give their life to protect the colony in itself. They gather all their resources together. They don't have a heavy emphasis on personal wealth or goods, but it's overall a everyone's things goes together into a pile. If they happen to acquire treasure, they will oftentimes put it into a
Shared vault.
shared hoard near the shrine dedicated to the dragon in which they serve, or the dragon god they serve, or just the chief's vault where they keep all their stuff together. But most commonly, the first two options. Kobolds have a heavy focus on traps and trickery, and using the environment to attack their opponents from around, attack their opponents. Uh, Basic strategies of kobolds include uh, pit traps, snare traps, trip lines, log rolls, or the classic rocks fall and everyone dies situation. Bridges, which that are designed to drop away as people are walking across, as the kobolds pull pins in or cut through lines, causing them to drop. They'll oftentimes gather beetles and rot grubs and rats. You know, the classic sack of rats situation.
You gotta love my sack of rats.
Sack of rats, where they can either drop people into the pit of snakes, or why does it have to be
put someone into the sack of rats?
Or someone well, they wouldn't be.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, they wouldn't be putting people into the sack of rats, but they might drop the sack of rats on someone.
Yes.
From above. But oftentimes, they will use small, dangerous, venomous critters in the environment as a means of disposing of people into, or having people drop from a platform into a pit of said snakes, rats, or beetles or rot grubs. And that is your general standard kobold tactics. Besides the fact that they also use arrow slits and murder holes. A murder hole is a hole in the ceiling in which they might drop molten metal, fecal matter, which is gross, or oil, burning or otherwise.
Yeah, and then you can set it on fire afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right. Do you want to start first with your kobold encounter idea?
Are you going with your
I have
your basic
some.
one or your
My-
tank one?
For a kobold encounter?
Yeah.
What? Sorry, define what you mean by basic or tank.
From your campaign, you had the tank.
Oh no. Well, it's closer to the tank ones.
Oh, go for the tank one.
So it's not exactly a tank one.
But yes, this is awesome what he did with this one.
So this one's less so. But so my idea is I like kobolds as they're really scrappy. They're basically little machinists in my thought process, right? They're doing
And it's classic because they have a rivalry with gnomes.
yes.
And it's not unusual for groups of people to start taking on similar traits
Yep.
as they rival each other.
So my idea is they're little machinists, basically. They make almost like little artificers, if you will.
Yeah.
They're making little things out of scrap. They're bubblegum duct taping things together. They can make smoke grenades. They can make a lot of little things, right? Little gadget wielding monstrosities. So my idea, you've got different types of kobolds in this hypothetical encounter, right? So they've got a big old den. They've got different gadgets that they unleash on the players. Maybe the players are making their way in there to go and attack the leader of the kobolds or steal from them, or whatever reason they have to go and approach this giant kobold den, if you will, and give the kobolds things like rats with explosives tied to them. Really cool idea. You got the firecracker rats. You can do your swinging log trap with the trip wires. You can do smoke pellets that like blind the different party members. You could even make it very hit and run with like smoke pellets to that pocket sand, smoke pellets to blind them, and then some of them run over, shank the players, and disengage and run off. Right. You throw in different roles for them, like making trap smiths that go and just like consistently go and like reapply more caltrops as the party is running. You've got ones that go and smoke them, and then others that just scurry in front of them, caltrop. You've got other ones like the alchemist that could be using that burning oil or throwing alchemist fire or
Alchemist Death.
Yes.
Which is a more powerful version of Alchemist Fire.
You could make napalm even for them.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be too hard. Then my idea is that in this kobold den that they would be approaching, where you've got this misfit of many artificers, you've got a tinkerer boss. And this tinkerer boss would ride some kind of like wobbly scrap contraption. Maybe make it like themed after some kind of beast, and you could even in a fight against him, you could use that little scrap beast that he rides in combat as well, either as a mounted combat or as a
basically a battlesmith.
Oh yeah, exactly. But my idea is the entire area throughout this fight would be slippery oil spills. You got the maybe unstable mine carts in the area that they could be pushing into the players. Maybe those mine carts could have things inside of them that could also create issues. This whole just almost artificer den of a fight against kobolds. That's how I picture them. They're these little scrappy things that put two and two together in ways that you couldn't imagine how they got that number, but you can't dispute the number that they got, right? And I like to talk about scaling. So you could obviously scale this in a lot of ways. You suggested the Alchemist's Death. You could scale it up to that, or scale it down to Alchemist's Fire, or scale it down to something even smaller. The caltrops, you could potentially scale it up and make, the old caltrop nets.
Or you can scale it down and instead of using caltrops,
use nets.
You can just go ahead and use ball bearings.
You could use ball bearings.
which is a non-damaging option, but it still causes everyone to fall prone.
And then there's also the baseline of scaling up and down between moving the boss's health up or down going into the session. Same deal for amount of kobolds inside of there that they actually have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be like 3 of them that are just racing around, setting up all these traps, activating their trigger mechanisms as the party gets there. So that's my kobold encounter. It's a big den of like near artificers that are just kind of MacGyvering things together.
Alrighty. I have a very similar one. This is quite simply, it's really good framework for this is you honestly know for my standard setup, kobolds love traps, and he has given you a whole bunch of awesome traps. What you can do besides that is that you can have tip table floors where when the party walks in, it just tilts and it causes them to fall down into a shaft.
Good old trapdoors.
You can actually have nets that are suspended inside a wall that actually drop down and get pulled across the room to drag the players into a corner of the room, which has a bunch of spikes on the wall.
Yep.
All kinds of fun stuff with the kobolds.
Man, why are those spikes sitting on this left side of this wall right here?
Yeah.
Maybe that wall is going to come towards us. It's going to jut out rapidly. Where did that come from?
Yeah. You could have basically you can have your mine carts, but you can actually build multiple mine carts. It's that movable walls that the kobolds can actually push towards the party or away. It can have pulling mechanisms.
Yeah.
They can actually pull basically a wall away and then spring it on the party, or they can have arrow slits so they can stand on the carts, shoot arrows through them,
and then they can duck down for cover.
You have this little wall, and they have a slit. They can shoot their arrows through, and they can pull it away as the players are trying to approach them, so that the kobolds have basically a barrier. Of course, you're going to have a wizard that's going to fireball that and catch the whole thing on fire, which case you can have this whole thing set up on a hillside or a slight upslant. So when they fireball the carts, the kobolds die. The kobolds are in that sort of that fun territory. They don't really care if they die as long as if they die, they are defending their tribe.
Yeah.
From the hostile invaders. Their lives are relatively expendable. So you can have this situation where the party kills the kobolds and the carts going up the hill, and then all of a sudden
the cart just
comes back down at them. And it could just be a solid wall, or the parties are either pelting projectiles into it to take it out before it hits them, maybe making a hole to jump through, like hole in a wall, which is a fun little option of dex saves to dodge or dex checks to jump through the hole.
You could also, that card idea, if you made the path a little bendy, you could really screw over that fireballing wizard. I don't have a straight shot.
Yeah, you could do that too.
A slight curve, and you've nerfed the wizard entirely.
You could level up this cart scenario, that the players are chasing the kobolds on this this wall of carts, by having the kobolds release through little vents in the bottom of the carts, ball bearings that roll down the side. And considering that it's there's going to be a wall of ball bearings.
They go and drop one singular ball bearing down the center of the track, and then it hits the player's cart because they don't pull it off the rail. Just as they get launched off there.
Yeah, you could actually go ahead and set it up like that, where it's a chase, and the players chasing on carts, and the kobolds are in carts. Donkey Kong.
Yeah, Donkey Kong style.
Chucking stuff at you. But anyways, I was thinking the players were running after them as they were pulling away.
Yeah.
Or trying to run away from them as the kobolds in the wall travels towards them. You can put spikes on the wall, so as it travels towards them, you have the threat of it not just bludgeoning, hitting them, the players, but also skewering them on there, as well as the kobolds firing through them.
I know players really enjoy when that happens to their characters.
Yeah. You can, as I said, you can drop ball bearings that fall out the bottom of the car towards the players as they're trying to approach, or you can release oil that goes out over the tracks that makes it more difficult for the players. You could randomize this depending on where the slicks are.
They could pour the oil down the front of their cart so that it's going off the wheels. It could be sparking, and then it's just like launching this flamethrower behind them.
That's a possibility. But overall, you have this whole setup, and you might have various variations in this mine where the kobolds are attacking fighting the players. But when they get to the final area, they could have a big arena where a bunch of kobolds riding in carts at various levels are shooting at the players as the carts go around the circle, and the kobold in a giant metal cart or an animal could come out to fight them in the arena.
Yep. You can have all circling.
Yeah, you can have the parts of the floor either drop away if there's no kobold king in the arenas to make it harder for the players to run around the arena, and so forth. That is a twist on the kobold situation.
To your idea of the carts, can I just add in one singular kobold on the back of on the caboose, who's sitting there with like a tea kettle of gasoline, just pouring it over the wheel. So there's also the flamethrower in this room too.
That's a possibility too. You can actually have kobolds chucking various toxic substances or potions at. Not healing potions, but not good stuff at the players. Here's from the carts going around the room.
They're throwing like not good things. Oh, it's regular leather armor. Why does he have so much of it? And he's throwing at me.
Yeah. Jugs of oil and other fun stuff like that, or bags of rats, or other fun things.
Oh, he's throwing +1 weapons. Oh, he's throwing clubs. Ah!
Yeah. Yeah. Clubs. We're in the club now. But anyways, that is one such variant scenario that goes into what he has. You can add stuff into his. The other option is that you can go with the whole classic series of narrow corridors where, kobolds are really small compared to most species in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
They only roughly stand about
2 feet tall.
About that tall.
2.5 feet, yeah.
And they're only about this wide. So they can go through little corridors. So you can purposely make all the passages in your kobold hideout really short, really narrow, except for the spots where they have to line up and shoot their arrows at the enemies that are coming in. So you can put these shooting galleries all over the kobold caves to pelt the players as they come in.
There's a bunch of little hidey holes along all the ground that they all just kind of...
And there's multiple options. You instead of just the shooting galleries, you can also have the murder holes, as I said, at various points where the kobolds can drop rocks through, or oil, or flaming bags of dog shit, or rats, or beetles, or something like that. And you have the trap holes under there. But you can also build the cart option into that, where you have moving walls of carts, or moving spikes of carts, or carts that are full of burning oil coming at the players. Stuff like that.
Big old barrel just...
Yeah. Let's Tucker Kobold this into a nightmare situation here.
Exactly.
If you're really creative with your kobolds, and you keep in mind that they breed like rabbits...
generations, the last 20 of them, remember when you wronged their great-great-great-great-grandfather 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, yeah, just keep in mind you can always go with more kobolds in your caves. And considering how small they are, they can have escape passages that are only about this big. So the vast majority of player species literally are not getting down that hole.
Yep.
So they can just slide down a chute into the emergency hive and then come back at some later point, even if the players go through the entire thing and wipe it out.
Yep.
So
more kobolds, always more kobolds.
More kobolds. Little staircases up in the little hidden passages from this hidden under realm of kobolds.
I think, before we end, one thing I think is really cool with kobolds, while they aren't generally a very strong thing,
Correct.
you could throw an entire kobold den at your players, regardless of level, and probably have a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
You could make even for level like 8s, you could have a whole kobold den, and they're going to one-hit a good chunk of your kobolds, but that doesn't matter, because you always have more kobolds.
Yep. And you keep in mind that kobolds raise other small vermin animals, such
Poisoned
as
rats.
rats, snakes, beetles, bats, all kinds of other stuff. So you always have that option. And I forgot to mention that kobolds also have a bit of magic in them as well.
Oh, they do.
So yeah,
yes, that's
you
true.
have. It's not unusual to have kobold sorcerers in the hive. So it's
I like to flavor them as shamans.
Yeah,
myself.
shamans. So they're in your big kobold fight at the end. Don't worry, just stick a few kobold shamans in there, or
Just
with a
give
few,
them some spells.
yeah, some fireball and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And once the first four drop fireball on the party,
What is he casting? Suffocate?
yeah. Oh, suffocate which is from Grim Hollow.
It is from Grim Hollow,
Players pack, yeah. That's what I bought on D&D Beyond some time back. It was like $14.99. It was.
I took that on auto.
Yeah.
I haven't used it yet.
And I saw.
We'll find the time.
I saw Cole went with Creeping Claw.
Yep, which was also from it. Yep. So it was a good purchase.
Yeah.
Buy Grim Hollow. All right.
There's a lot of good options in there for adding extra scary flavor to your party. Keep in mind that kobolds like to tinker and hoard all kinds of different
Little
things.
artificers.
And they're little artificers. So you can always, for whatever strange reason, depending on the level of tech you want to have, my scenario I set it up so that it's actually fairly low tech, but you can go up to his level where you build towers or structures that have little cannons or other things, and that's his other one that from the campaign. I'm surprised he didn't choose to go with that one in this
where
one.
they literally had like little all-terrain vehicles that they were putting together. They had like makeshift tanks. They had little bunkers with little machine guns that they'd come out of. Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
Oh my god, my little kobold artificers. Oh, they were beautiful.
There was like these orbs in the ground that had different telescoping weapons that would pop out of them.
Yep.
And each one had like a different variant weapon.
Yep, and one was like an explosive one was more of a machine gun, one was more of a sniper rifle, I think.
Yeah. The explosive one was like a howitzer. It would launch out a large shell that would fly up in the air and land and explode for fire damage and stuff.
I think that one was a low range one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to be really close to it. And
all their ranges were different. They all fired like slightly.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them had a spread to them, and
I think you had a flamethrower one as well.
oh, the flamethrower one, yeah.
There was also the little fun thing where my Herongon paladin broke into one of them, smiting through it.
Yep.
And then hit the liquid ammo storage under it.
And when you went into there, the kobold is making his way out. And he's got like a whole TNT vest, and he's like lobbing TNT at the party.
It's important to remember that your kobolds, their primary goal is to protect their tribe.
Yep.
And they don't care if they explode while they're doing it, as long as they feel that them dropping takes out more enemies than the kobolds are falling, and they don't personally value them so much. So you could have kobolds that are loaded with explosives, or you can have kobolds with spears, just in case you get into that tight situation where they line up. You might want to be a jerk sometimes and give them all sentinel, so they can poke the party, the marshals back.
They attacked my ally. 8 of them.
Just like stops the marshals right in their track, and the party has to now deal with the fact that the marshals can't actually get
oh
up
my
to
god,
them.
that would be so messed up if we did that. Like 10 kobolds, and the fighter runs in like, I'm gonna do it, and he swings into one of them, and all of them with the spear.
Polearm Master and Sentinel.
Oh yeah, that would Oh my god!
Or the fighter gets in 10 feet and
God.
like, sorry, Matt. The kobold reactively strikes you with a spear before you get up to him, as well as the two others next to him.
The 8 others behind him.
Yeah. Well, if you are stacking kobolds, technically
You could get a lot of kobolds
bend
because they got reach.
You can bend the rules a little bit, but with long spears or pole arms, you can have 3 kobolds, and the 3 kobolds can strike the same player at the same time to stop them, using up their reaction. And then you have a secondary line of kobolds just in case somehow the player manages to make the distance, that extra 5 feet forward to strike them again.
Yep.
But even then, that is a pretty cool combination. The solution obviously is
stand back and
stand back, shoot projectiles at them, and drop a fireball on top of the kobolds.
Curvy tunnels.
Kirby tunnels?
Curvy tunnels.
Oh, curvy tunnels. Yeah, you can do that too, where the tunnel bends around a corner and the players are literally right there, right next to
that way their
the kobolds.
fireball won't save them.
Yeah, unless the wizard throws the fireball directly into the corner and it explodes and takes around the corner.
Really curvy tunnels. Squiggly lines. That way, they're always in range of the fireball.
Yep.
Anyways, that's kobolds for me.
Yep.
They're really cool. I'd play them into level 10 characters. What level were you guys when you went to my kobolds? I think you were like 7. Because that would have been before you went and fought Valitus. The vampire. Yeah. So I think that would have been in the 6-7 range.
There's two different groups.
Maybe 5.
There was 2 different groups of kobolds. There was the resistance, and then there was the bad guy kobolds in the area as well.
That's true.
And you see, there was a cat here. The video is recorded in a studio audience consisting of cats. Oh, Mr. Cheeser.
Okay. Hi, buddy. Hi. Okay. We call it there on the kobold video. We'll try and let him see the camera. No. You're a big guy. I know. You're a big kitty cat. Oh, okay. Long cat. Goodbye. Thank you for watching.
Yep.
Have a good day.